Hey, soldiers, you got to go where your money is treated best, okay? And there are some places out there that are bound and determined not to treat your money well at all, but even to go a step further and make you a pariah. You're the taxpayer. You're supporting all these programs and whatnot that a lot of these blue states just love, can't get enough of, yet and still you are treated like a pariah via regulation and taxation.
And so what California is trying to do, Larry, this has never been done before. It's probably unconstitutional. If, let's say you lived in California, well, one time you did live in California.
Yes.
You move out, they want to do a clawback even years after you move out and impose a wealth tax on you. Now, again, I don't think that's constitutional. But if you start doing that, who would ever set up a business in California? I mean, it's craziness.
It is crazy. I don't mean to interrupt. I think New York does the same thing.
They try to.
Or they chase you down for 7 years.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they will. I mean, and same thing in Illinois does the same thing. They're so hungry for revenue. Now, here's the main point, though, of our piece for people who didn't read it. Those states that you just mentioned have lost $250 billion of income from people moving out and where they're going to Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Idaho, those states. So essentially, Larry, I think this is the biggest story of what's happening in America. These blue states with high taxes, heavy regulation, forced union policies, they are being bled to death as people move out. Businesses with them, take their workers with them, take the income with them, and move to these red states. And by the way, liberals don't have any response to that. I mean, I thought they were going to build these worker paradises, but everybody's moving out. By the way, 5 million people in the last decade.
So these tax penalties have real financial, I'm just looking at your article.
Yeah.
Cost California $50 billion, Connecticut $14 billion, Illinois almost $50 billion. Maryland 14, Massachusetts 13,
and New York,
New Jersey 26, and New York almost $80 billion.
Yeah.
So what is a entrepreneur to do? Well, it's very easy, especially if you're here in the United States. What you do is you pick up stakes and you take your productivity and you take your jobs to another state, a state that appreciates what you are doing and will help you build that business because they understand that you're providing jobs and a tax base, okay? They appreciate it. Now, there are states that just right now are as Kevin O'Leary has said here over the past couple of weeks on several media platforms, you can't do business with them, okay? They're uninvestable. That's his word. And so look, it is what it is, right? One of those states is California. California brags about having so many people. So what? Okay. That's turned into a detriment for California because, yeah, sure, you're the most populous state, but you're also at the top of the list for being the most onerous and burdensome in terms of taxation and regulation because you want to create this environment where you're giving away the store. Think about it. California is one of the states that's really moving forward at a prodigious clip with regard to reparations for slavery. And mind you, California was never a slave state, all right? So this is how bound and determined the state of California and municipalities within it want to give away money. You've got a class of politician out there who is the activist. They got the philosophy degree and they basically don't understand how the economy works. A lot of politicians out there do not understand how the economy works. So what they do is they look at businesses and business owners as a continual trough to feed from. So if you are out there trying to establish a business so that you can, look, even if you got, let's say you got a YouTube channel and you're in California, okay? Well, say that channel did real well and brought in its third or fourth year, $96,000. Well, California wants 8% of that, just off of that income. Then that's not to mention the cost of living in most of the areas of California. That's not to mention sales tax, all kinds of other taxes that they hit you with out in California. Gas tax, they got one of the highest gas taxes out there. And we're not even talking about your federal taxes yet, okay? So this is why a lot of people are picking up stakes and leaving. And then you add to that the amount of regulation. Go to California or New York and try to open a restaurant, all right? And see what you get hit with. Yeah, sure, you got a lot of foot traffic in New York City, absolutely. But it's gonna cost you, okay? It's really, really gonna cost you. And as entrepreneurs, I would like to believe what we're striving for is a greater degree of freedom, all right? Not to be put in a situation where these politicians are just looking at us like a piggy bank, don't care whether our business stays in operation or not, okay? Just got us on this treadmill where all we're doing is pretty much paying higher and higher taxes and being burdened with more and more regulation. So here's what Kevin O'Leary had to say with regard to some of these uninvestable states.
I don't put companies here in New York anymore, or in Massachusetts, or in New Jersey, or in California. Those states are uninvestable. Senator, we've got to move the companies out of your state because you're not investable anymore. You're punishing people if they're successful. You overtax them. You hit them with a super tax. New Jersey, what a mess. New York, uninvestable. And
Wait,
California.
why is New York uninvestable?
Try and do a project in New York. Try and build a data.
Yeah, I'm asking, Don's point, is it beyond the taxes?
Oh, the regulatory environment is punitive. I had a project in upstate New York behind the grid in Niagara Falls for electricity, a global data center we were building. Eventually, it got so bad with the politicians in the local region and the state policy, we moved it to Norway and all the jobs. Wow. Norway has it now. Thousands of jobs coming out of that. I mean, that's New York, uninvestable. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger, just telling you the way it is.
And look, you heard him say it, okay? It's not just if you're an entrepreneur, but when these businesses pick up stakes and move to, the example he gave was out of the country to Norway, okay, for one of his businesses. So when that happens, it takes jobs away from Americans. So whether you're an entrepreneur, okay, you're getting hit hard by these regulations. Hey, but if you're an employee, then you also are getting into a situation where, hey, the jobs are disappearing. What's happening here? Well, it has a lot to do with politicians who believe that you should be actually not rewarded, not encouraged, but penalized. Okay, now let me tell you how this works. You're a smart audience. You already know. If you're smart and you're not a part of this audience, go ahead, hit subscribe, become a soldier right now. But when you bring jobs to an area, it is in the state's best interest, state or municipality. It is in their interest to provide you with some sort of incentive, low regulation, low taxation, a pretty robust public transportation system, safe streets for your employees, right? Okay. So let's say you got a small company and you bring 50 jobs to an area. Doesn't sound like much, right, in the grand scheme of things, but 50 jobs can transform an area because with those jobs are going to come a couple of takeout restaurants, okay? You're going to get a dry cleaner. I use that example often because I use a dry cleaner often. You're going to get some barbershops, a beauty salon, okay? You're going to get some homes that are either already existing, and so now, hey, I work at the company now. I want to move closer to the job. I'll buy that home or I'll rent it, okay? So you get this snowball effect. Now, all of those examples I gave, they're keeping that velocity of money going. When that landlord gets that rent check, she is going to go out after she pays her expenses and she's going to invest some of it. She's going to go to the restaurant. She's going to get her clothes dry cleaned, right? The dry cleaner is then, maybe he'll put some more into his business to expand it, that sort of thing. Then maybe he'll go down to the car dealership. You see what happens, all right? And all this is occurring in a state that said, hey, we know how it works. We're not going to act in a punitive fashion with regard to these small businesses. Small business is the engine of this country. But we're going to encourage them. We want them to come in. Now, Look, we looked at this a while back. Let's look at it again. How money walks. Money's walking right out of the door. These red states, that's where money is flowing out of. The green states are where money is flowing into. Now, you can do your own homework and you can see the deeper the red, the higher the taxation, the higher the regulation. The deeper the green, the lower the taxation, the lower the regulation, the safer it is, okay, on the streets of that city or that state in this case, what we're looking at. All right, so listen, this is just not reserved for the local politicians or the state politicians. It goes all the way up to the top. Here's Kevin O'Leary again.
My whole life as an investor, 30 plus years, 95% of my money either went to Silicon Valley or into Boston around MIT and Harvard. That was the birthplaces of venture capital since 1954. That's where it all went. You can't put money to work in either of those places today. Massachusetts is at war with entrepreneurship. Elizabeth Warren will punish you for success. She will make sure you pay super taxes if you're successful. The regulatory environment there is prohibitive for business. New York, even worse. New Jersey, forget about it. California is not in business. You can't do business there, and they're leaving like droves out of there. So this competition of states is beginning to occur. My whole point is there are go-to states and there's no-go states. And no-go states right now are New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, California. You cannot invest in those places.
And these politicians be the first to tell you, leave then. Okay, well, if enough people do that, because now you've got like Elon Musk taking business out of California. You've got some players, Patrick Bet-David, who's very, very popular here on YouTube, has taken, he famously moved out of California, took his operation with him. Okay, so there are all kinds of YouTubers that I watch. Big Herc 916 has a great channel, motivational channel, and he did the same thing. Okay, so it's a lot of that going on out there. People are choosing. They are voting with their pocketbook because you know what? It seems like people who are on the left, hey, they love these policies. I have a good friend who is as blue as the day is long, owns a business, a very successful business. However, he is always complaining about how the Democrats have increased the minimum wage, how the Democrats have increased taxes. And I always say to him, well, why the hell are you still voting Democrat? Well, and all a bunch of equivocation. But look, it's all about the money, ain't a damn thing funny, okay? In the immortal words of Grandmaster Flash. So these folk are addicted to voting blue. They don't like diversity in terms of their vote to see if things could change for them. So in his case, again, it's impacting him from the standpoint of a business, but it's also inhibiting his ability to hire more people to bring in and give jobs to, okay? So again, it gets you going and coming as the business owner and as the employee. And for whatever reason, well, we know the reason, these blue state politicians just do not understand economics, okay? That's the thing. I have always said, in order to take office, okay, you can go ahead and get voted in. I'm not trying to interfere with the constitutional process. But once it is clear that you have won that general election and you're in there, you have got to go to a college level macroeconomics class, and you got to come out of there with at least a C, okay, before you can sit your ass in a legislative body and start to make economic decisions that are going to affect people's pocketbooks, okay? That should be a requirement. All right, guys, now speaking of requirements and your money, we are required to pay our mortgages, right? Yes, we are, if we want to keep the property. So look, Blackstone has run into a little trouble where they can't pay the mortgage on a collection of commercial properties. Blackstone being that huge private equity fund. All right, so what does this mean for the general economy, for the overall economy? Is this a canary in the coal mine? And is this forecasting some bumps down the road for all of us? Take a look at the report, and guys, I'll talk to you soon.